Okay, welcome to the second video of 9.3. Now, in the last problem, we looked at a point on a circle in the coordinate plane, but that circle wasn't the unit circle. Now, the unit circle is a very specific circle on our coordinate plane. And for this problem, we're going to use the unit circle to evaluate the three trig functions of theta equals 270. Well, let's look again in your journal. Let's look a little bit and learn about the unit circle. So the unit circle is the circle that has the equation x squared plus y squared equals 1. That's the equation of our circle. So what that means, from this we can tell the unit circle has a center at 0, 0 and has a radius of 1. So what that means is the distance from the origin out to any point on our circle is equal to 1. Okay, so everywhere this circle has a radius of 1. That is our unit circle. So in this case, the value of the sine and cosine of any angles of theta inside of our unit circle are simply the x and y coordinates. So the sine value is just our y coordinate of any point, and the cosine is just the x value. Now, the reason why this is true is if you remember back from last section, these were our two formulas right here. Okay, we know that the sine of an angle in our coordinate plane is equal to the y coordinate of the point divided by the distance from the origin to that point, r. Cosine is equal to the x-coordinate divided by the distance from the origin to that point. Now, in the unit circle, r is equal to 1. So you see what happens is when we plug in 1 into these formulas, we get y over 1 equals y, and x over 1 equals x. So we get sine equals y, and cosine equals x. That's why this statement right here is true, that sine and cosine are simply the y coordinate and x coordinate respectively, because our radius is 1 in the circle. Okay, we're going to go over a little bit more in class. We're going to talk about how we actually get these formulas. But for right now, you need to know these formulas, and what you need to know is that the unit circle is the circle centered about the origin that has a radius of 1. Okay, so now let's go back and look at our problem right here. So let's use the unit circle to evaluate the three trig functions of theta equals 270. All right, well, the first thing you want to do, we always want to draw our diagram. So let's go ahead and draw our unit circle. So again, here's our origin. Each point out here is a distance of 1 from the origin. So we can get a couple things. We know that this point right here, this is at x equals 1, y equals 0. This point right here is at 0, 1. That's this point right here. This point right here is -1, 0. And this point down here, which is where 270 is, if we rotate around 90, 180, 270, this point down here is at 0, -1. Okay, so here's our point. The way we do this is we draw our angle. So here's 270. This is our terminal side right here. And our point is 0, 1. So now we just use our formulas. So we're going to go ahead and we've already identified the point at which the terminal side intersects the unit circle. That's at 0, -1. So to find the sig trig functions, we just take these points, these values from our point, x equals 0 and y equals -1. And that's what we're going to plug in to evaluate our trig functions. So again, remember back here, in the unit circle, the sine of an angle is just equal to y, and the cosine is just equal to x. So if we plug in sine is equal to y over 1, which is just -1. Here you see, here our y value is -1. So our first one is the sine is equal to -1. Our cosine, remember, is just our x value. So the cosine is x over 1, which is 0 over 1, which is equal to 0. So at theta equals 270, the sine of theta, the sine of 270 is -1. The cosine of 270 is 0. Now the tangent is still y over x. Now in this case, look at x is 0. Remember, we can't divide by 0. So you're actually going to get an undefined value. And that's okay. There's some angles that don't have tangents. In this case, we're dividing by 0. So the tangent of 270 is going to be undefined. If you tried to plug that in your calculator, if you did 270 tangent, you'd get an error because you're actually trying to divide by 0. Okay, so this is how we use the unit circle to evaluate. Now, remember, you're going to use these formulas over here, and you're also going to use your tangent formula here to find it. And to solve this problem, again, the key is to draw your unit circle and identify where your angle crosses or touches the unit circle. That's going to give you your x and y values. So I'm going to give you a question now to do. So if you have any problems or questions on that, you can come back and review this problem to do. So what I want you guys to do is the same thing we just did, except instead of 270, I want your angle to be 90. So I want you to do the same thing. Use the unit circle to evaluate the 3 trig functions at theta equals 90. So your answer, you should have a sine, a cosine, and a tangent value using the unit circle to get those. Okay, go ahead and enter those into the text box now.